What is up, YouTube? What is up? We're live on Facebook. What is up? What is up? Right, and we are live on Instagram. What is up? What is up? Right. It's going to be a great, as per usual, a great day to talk about what's going on actively in Haiti. But most importantly, we're looking to talk about you know things related to business entrepreneurship as usual, right? Let's hit it with the intro. Haiti Biz news show, Monday to Friday, bringing you news that's going to keep you informed, engaged, and reacting in the most optimal way for your business, investment, entrepreneurial activity. Today's the 6th of August. Let's talk about it. And no announcements. So we'll be able to jump right into the story, which is the administration of Delmas. I think it's pretty much a consensus amongst many people who've driven through Delmas, who live in Delmas, compared to other communes, that it's well managed, right? There's a fleet of some recent stories that, again, bite-sized stories, not necessarily much we can draw truly by themselves a whole episode from, but stories, announcements, I guess you can say, really, of recent projects completed. There's a project on Berlin Street, Delmas 75, that was completed this week. There's another project on the extension of Jean-Baptiste Road near Poublin that was completed, and another the rehab, the Poublin Station, which is a very curvy road as you go on through Poublin, had a very central intersection, and that intersection was completely revamped, completely restored, not restored, but they've added medians, wide medians, so traffic that's flowing from one corner to another can just fly right through, and traffic lights were installed. I'm not sure when the traffic lights are going to actually be turned on, but traffic lights were installed, right? And again, as you travel around Delmas, you note that it's certainly much cleaner. It's certainly, there's other works that are happening throughout the city, throughout the town, and again, the cleanliness really is the big thing, the big comment, right? That folks are left with when they travel through is, man, we don't see that anywhere else in other places. Even Pétionville has, for a large part, a very degree of saleté, as one would say. For example, lower Pétionville, where Route Delmas and Route Fouet intersect at the very bottom, there's a lot of marchands, a lot of mamaceras, a lot of street merchants that do a lot of business in that bottom area. And unfortunately, there's a lot of mess that happens in that area, but yet we don't see, right? We don't see a concerted effort by the fellow running Pétionville to ensure that area stays clean, despite the disproportionate amount of trash that area produces, which is a problem, right? Something else that's interesting about Delmas is the fact that there's a good degree of electricity in specific pockets, particularly around Delmas, Trétéen, Trendois. You see, and that's maybe not you can't really put that on the administration, right? You do see that a lot. That's because of that's where the electricity comes in. There's a very large power grid station there. And so the folks in that area benefit from that large grid and diffusion of energy, electricity, before it gets shut off or shut on to go elsewhere, right? Haiti rations electricity in different parts. That part, I know folks have workers here who tell me they have electricity almost 24/7, constantly, unless there's a particularly large crisis going on, just due to the benefit of where they're located, right? And the mayor, of course, I haven't mentioned this, the mayor of Delmas is Seejeanty. Interesting guy. In fact, a funny story, actually. I was on a plane a couple months ago on JetBlue, and it was myself and actually my fiance, and we were on the plane flying in, and we had these first row seats on JetBlue, and we had adjacent seats to each other. And then, but as I was coming on the plane, I saw there was someone sitting in the middle seat, and me, I was quick. I was like, that's a little pet peeve of mine. I hate people who sit in seats they're not supposed to, especially on planes, right? A lot of times they used to fly back and forth. But so I'm like, I kind of snap my hands and say, yo, hey, check it out, monsieur, est-ce que monsieur ça va chez vous? Parce que tu get a nom c'est pour moi. So I tell it just like that. I said, hey, those tickets, you got to check your seats. I'm sure those belong to me. And the guy, he looks at it. He apologizes profusely, and sits, where he's supposed to be sitting, and we slide through. And then, and again, I'm still annoyed with the guy. I kind of stay annoyed. I can stay annoyed for a while at people who annoy me. So I really didn't talk with him. In fact, my fiance sat in between us. And so as we started talking, Adam Narcisse, what's up? And so as we started talking, eventually, because he's a very chatty guy, open guy, as you can imagine, a politician who's very high energy. And so eventually we start talking as the plane goes up, and then we start talking about different things. And somehow, come to find out that, he's in office somewhere. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's cute. I'm thinking he's probably running some office in the middle of nowhere in Haiti, So I'm like, okay, well, out of curiosity, I didn't really care. Like, yeah, I guess this conversation is going this way. So out of curiosity, which commune are you the mayor of? He goes, Delmas. And I go, oh, snap. Right there, the annoyance went out the door. And instead, I straight up just said, oh, man, what you're doing in Delmas is fantastic. You've a lot of folks can follow your model, and I hope you keep doing what you're doing. So I told him right away, I have a lot of respect for him and how he runs things. And of course, he was very open, and we exchanged numbers at the time, and at some point I do hope to do a one-on-one and do a new parlay with him, given what he's doing and the activity that he has going on. But this is a funny story when I look back, because again, where else but Haiti could you sort of snap your fingers at a well-respected mayor and tell him to get the heck out of your seat? It doesn't happen stateside, right? And so, but anyways, that's my quick anecdote of Wilson Judy. But again, he's been running Delmas since 2006. He was actually a 2010 candidate. And for all accounts, a lot of the successes of Delmas has been attributed to him, particularly when it comes to property tax rates. Most of the country, most cities, the property tax payment rate is 1% to 2%. That's it, 1% to 2% property tax rate. And of course, as we know, property tax is a big part of how municipalities fund what they're doing. But Wilson Judy, since he came to office, he made a big push, a big goal of his to increase that. And he's currently, it has been around 20, almost 17 to 20% of property tax. And that's, again, not just because of luck. He partnered very early on in his tenure. He partnered with USAID to help make it easier for folks to pay, make it more organized for folks to pay their taxes. And most importantly, I think a lot of people very quickly realize that, their taxes aren't going into his pockets for personal use. Very quickly, people saw that, projects were being done with that money, right? And even today, as I speak to folks who live in Delmas or would like to live in Delmas, they say, you know what, no, I'm going to pay my property tax because I see where the money's going, right? I see that there's things being done. And I think that's a general sentiment of Haitians in general, who are of means and who do have money and could pay, but choose not to. A lot of them are like, I don't want to pay because, it's a discouraging effect because I don't see where that money's going. But that's not the case in Delmas. A lot of folks do see it. And again, 20% isn't still in and of itself isn't particularly high, right? There's still 80%. There's at least, by 2006 figure, at least 50,000 homes in Delmas, right? And so was 20% of that. That leaves quite a bit of homes that still aren't paying, right? And so there's quite a bit of things that could be constructed and worked on if those funds are there, but aren't. We got a comment from Pierre Paul here on YouTube. I think Mayor Wilson-Judy has the know-how and capacity to be a spectacular president. One day for Haiti, due to the reputation, amazing work. I was there for 4 months and saw his work. Thanks for that comment, Pierre Paul. And what's funny, though, is that a lot of people share that sentiment. Wilson-Judy should be president. But the thing is that Haitians have never elected a politician to be president of their country. Looking back in their history, you go, as far back as you want, but let's do somewhat recent. Duvalier was a doctor, and he was a minister. But again, when I say politician, someone who's been voted in for office, previously, right? Haiti has never done that. Okay. Then you have Aristide, you have Préval. I guess maybe you can count Préval since he did win a second term, right? But I guess if I'm going to put an asterisk, someone who's gotten their first term of presidency, who was previously a senator or a deputy or mayor or something of that extent that involved. Haiti has never done that, right? Of course, Matali famously, had no experience previously. And of course, this current guy, J-Mo, who's running things now. We all know he doesn't. I think people even question his private experience because he signed a Petrocaribe contract as an engineer. So folks don't even, even though he had no schooling. So we still don't know if, what is he? Was he just a businessman? Was he an engineer? We don't know, so go figure. But the point is that we Haiti has never elected a politician. And we, I don't know, I think that's evident because a lot of the folks who come into power and the way they administer things, ultimately, I don't know. I think Haiti deserves, attempting to bring somebody into an elected office that has experience being in an elected office, especially in a country like this where, we don't have a second chance. Every time someone goes in our office, goes into a president office, it's an opportunity for, advancement that's absolutely necessary, right? And we really shouldn't be having people learning on the job. Given the realities of Haiti and what it takes to actually be successful. So I agree. In short, I agree with you, Pierre Paul. I think someone like Wilson-Judy should certainly be elected. I remember I started this conversation by saying he did try to run in 2010. He wasn't too successful. He didn't get too far in the initial polling. And recently he's reaffirmed that he isn't running this time, but still 2 years out, there's still anything could still potentially happen. But again, this conversation really isn't necessarily about Wilson-Judy per se. It's about the commune of Delmas and the appropriateness for and how well it's run. And a big part of why I want to share that is that when it comes to places to put your business, right? I can't think of a better place other than Delmas because of the fact that a few other things, which I'm going to talk about, but it's well governed, right? For the most part, a lot of these places where you put your office are going to have a large degree of, roads to allow you to do simple things as get into your office yourself, but also other things like, the water trucks who are most likely going to be in your home. And by the way, another thing about that, a lot more and more of Delmas is actually are getting water pipes, actual, just like in America where you turn your faucet in and you're getting water from the state. More and more of Delmas is getting that, and that's probably something we're going to talk about at a later date. But more and more of Delmas is getting state water from the pipes that, I wouldn't recommend drinking it, but you can take showers, but you can wash dishes, you can do other basic things, with that water. And again, you're not getting a communette to come and dump water. And for the most part, from everyone I've spoken to, the water that you get from the state is cleaner than the water that you get from these water trucks, right? They're more consistent in terms of the chlorine and putting bleach in it and making sure it's actually safe for consumption, not consumption, but use on human beings. And so, so in terms of placing your business, there's roads. There's a lot of just small little things. For example, street lights. There's many parts of Delmas that actually have functioning street lights, which is important in terms for security late in the evening. And a lot of the homes are well built for the most part. They didn't really suffer too much from the earthquake. So the infrastructure, the stock of homes and offices that are available are high in Delmas. But why I personally like it is because of its nearness, its central location of the airport, of Pétionville, of even trying to leave the city to go to Cafu, for example. The city is very centrally located, right? And to me that's big. As someone who doesn't particularly like commuting around the city, being in a place that is still up in the mountains or elsewhere, it's just I don't necessarily see that as making too much sense. So for all those reasons, that's really what was the point of this Haiti Biz News, was to talk about, again, some of the recent construction projects that were completed: Berlin Street near Delmas 75, extension of Jean-Baptiste Road, rehab of Station Publier intersection, and many other places that are seeing quite a bit of work, infrastructure work, all at the cost of the municipality or the mayor's office, Marie, who's doing fantastic work. And just to finally really talk about something I always want to talk about, which is Delmas being a good place to potentially put your business in terms of security, in terms of capacity and infrastructure, right? So that's where I'm gonna end it. Again, we'll see, if Haiti ever does bring in someone with experience of running a government in the country to run the government of the country, right? We'll see if that ever happens. And of course, if Wilson does run, we'll see what other candidates are available, but certainly he'd be high up on my list. Okay. So as we know, we're here every Monday through Friday. Well, actually, wait a second. We have a quick question on Instagram. Do you think each department of Haiti should be independent, as in they produce and operate, generate revenues? So the Constitution of Haiti doesn't really allow that. We don't have, the Constitution of the United States. It's almost a confederacy where you have the states that have a certain degree of power to run and also collect revenue on their own and execute things. And that sort of diffusion of power happens through as well. You have counties that have a certain degree of autonomy. Then you have cities that have a degree of autonomy. That doesn't really happen in Haiti. You don't have municipalities that have degrees of power. States, departments that have degrees of power. You do have municipalities that the mayors, the cities, the communes do have a degree of power, but still a large percentage of their revenue comes from the state. So even in the case where we did have a commune that have 100% property tax rate, it still wouldn't be enough to fully operate, right? They would still need to get a large portion of the revenue from the state. And technically, even the property tax technically doesn't flow through them. It flows through the National Tax Office, the DGE. Right? When you go pay property tax, you go pay it at the DGE, at the tax office. So there's no real place you go. It's like saying to pay the state, you have to go through the IRS, right? So that's by design. That's by constitutional design. So that's just letting you know how it works. But my personal opinion, I personally think we should have a diffusion of how things operate in the country to allow, the parliament's corrupt, right? The Senate and the deputies aren't doing anything to help advance the state. So if there are certain areas that could potentially elect a right, just person and then do things at a much more local level, I think that is what democracy means, and that's what democracy is. And I'm certainly for it. Whether or not we'll see it in our lifetimes in Haiti, I don't know. But thanks for the question, Alex Sniff. Appreciate it. All right, so that's where we're ended. Monday through Friday, we're here. Leave a comment. Even after this video ends, I'll look it over, hit a response, hit that subscription button. Like what we're talking about here, share it through your network. Let folks know what we got going on here. You know what I mean? They may benefit from it. So share it. Follow the page. Again, we have a Patreon, which is under Seejeanty. We have a Square Cash, which is hashtag $Seejeanty if you want to take your appreciation of what we're doing here to the next level with whatever donation. You know what I mean? And until we're back at it again, we'll be back at it again. Peace.